stick around, come through and dig the sound of the fly brown 6060 cycle. Who those hits around, bound to go through.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Wine Down with Kev. Hey, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch us on live stream, whether you're looking at us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You are appreciated. And special thanks to those of you who have already clicked the like and subscribe button so you can receive notifications when great content like this is released. You are appreciated. Also, super special thanks to my sponsors, Carol Media. Reach out to them for all things social media. Canopy Connect. If you're ready to bring your insurance business into the digital age, reach out to Canopy Connect. They can help. And super thanks to my banking partner, Wintrust. Okay, all of that being said, thank you for tuning in for this episode of Wine Down with Kev. 50 agents, 50 podcasts, 50 states. And today, go with me on a journey to Tucson, Arizona. The agent that we're going to connect with is a second-generation agent, phenomenal agent. You name the award, he's won it. All the Financial Leader Awards, Circle of Champions, honoring national conferences. If Allstate has an award, he has won it. Also, more than the awards he's won for his salesmanship, he has given back to his community in a big way. So many organizations, but I'll let him tell you more about that as we get into the podcast. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your Wine Down with Kev hands together and give a warm welcome to my friend, Keith Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. I just feel honored, like I've made the big time. I'm here, you know. I've done a lot of things in my life, but I'm here now. This is awesome.
Everything on the struggle bus, put it behind you. Don't worry about it. You are here. You have absolutely arrived now. Excellent. Welcome to the podcast, Keith. Hey, but before we get into the insurance stuff, which is obviously a place with us being peers that we'll get into, I did the introduction. I forgot to shout out your family. So give some kind words to your wife, to your daughter, and then we'll get into the business stuff.
So much love to my wife, Julie, who, if she has truly been my partner through all of this, so I couldn't ask for anyone better. And my child, Bella, she's just everything that a dad would ever want, and just makes me so proud. And I'm just so lucky to have her and my wife in my life and as my partners.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Keith, you are second generation. You are what we call a legacy agent. Let's talk about your dad and you being born into the business.
Mm-hmm. So my father, Don Duncan, literally started the agency right about the time I was born, rookie of the year. So he, one of my earliest memories, probably 3 years old, is being at the Sears store down in the basement in the agent's kind of bullpen or break room or whatever. I was wearing a cowboy outfit. I don't know why I remember that, but Allstate is literally perhaps part of my youngest memories ever.
I love it. Fast forward a couple of years. We won't put an age on you being born into it, but you've been an agent for 25 years with the business, 30 years on your own. What do you love about being an agent?
The old cliche, I love helping people. I mean, let's face it, insurance isn't sexy. If I never sold another auto home policy, it's not going to kill me. But those days where, someone calls up and says, I need help, and can you protect me, and can you walk me through, and you realize the work that you've done over the last 5-10 years is helping them at this moment and is making a huge difference. And those are the nights that you go home and you fall asleep and you're saying, I did something. I did something good today. And so you're helping your community. And as a business owner, I look at, again, we were talking earlier, my daughter's in Switzerland right now.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane that, this job has allowed me to provide that for her. And then my teammates and my LSPs and, their families and the things we can do for them. It's many times you don't realize the things that we do every day, just that are so random to us, have such a large impact on those around us. And without being an agent, without having, the business and doing what we do, none of that would be possible. So you got to look beyond just the everyday to-day stuff and dig in a little bit to the good stuff.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Keith, Tucson, Arizona. I was in Arizona for the first time in my life last year. You and I got to hang out a little bit. That was a blast. I'm all the way on the other side of the great country of America in New York. A little bit of a different climate. How I prepare my customers for the natural disasters that come with our four seasons. How do you prepare customers for all that comes with Arizona? I don't know. I think it was maybe 110 degrees out there. I pricked my finger. Someone told me, Kevin, you like social media? Take a picture with the cactus, which I did. What they failed to tell me was not to put my hands on a cactus because I absolutely pricked my finger. But talk to me about the insurance aspect and what that 100+ degree weather all summer does that creates some unique insurance risks that I may not know about.
Well, Arizona, for most of the insurance companies, are what we call is a green state, is a go state, is a growth state, because we don't necessarily have the hurricanes and the earthquakes, not a lot of wildfires. We do, in Tucson, we do have a tornado every now and then. They're tiny. Last year we had a tornado and it took down one wall on a building, and it made national news because we lost a wall in a tornado. But really, it's hot. It affects the roofs. It affects a lot of the structures. A lot of rotting going on, and then it'll get wet for about 2-3 months with the monsoons, and then it's hot. And so outside of that, it's truly just making sure that people have the best coverage they can. Again, Arizona, most people think that it's just desert. We're one of the most climate diverse states in the country, if not the most. So we have desert, high desert, scrub, all the way to some world-class skiing all throughout out Arizona. So we do have the wildfires we have to worry about and things of that nature. But where I live here in Tucson, it's mostly just dry rot, mold, and an occasional tornado once every 10 years.
I love it. I love it. And how important is it for you to educate your customers on something like dry rot? Full disclosure, zero knowledge. How important is it for you to educate your clients on the maintenance aspect of that and what is and what is not covered in a policy like that? What might they get from you as opposed to buying from an 800 number or a .com that's unfamiliar with the local Tucson area?
For me, education is everything. That's why we've always done policy reviews. We try to talk with clients every 2 to 3 years, because when you don't have the education, when the client doesn't know what they're purchasing, that's where, again, your lawsuits come in and your errors and omissions. You're starting to hear about it coming over from California. I was told I had a good policy. I was told I had this. I believed I had this. No, what you had was a cheap policy.
Yes.
That either you wanted something really cheap or the agent sold you something that was really cheap and it looked pretty. But now that you're seeing really what it is in the light of day, it's not what you think it is. And so that's our job as agents, is to sit down and say, as much information as you want about this policy and what it does and how you do and how you take care of your things. That's where we need to visit, because one of the greatest crimes that I've ever thought that some of our companies have let happen is the 800 numbers of the world. They have commoditized insurance.
Yes.
One loaf of bread is like another loaf of bread, so get the cheapest loaf of bread. No, yes. I tell my staff day one when they work here, we are like doctors, we are like lawyers, we are like priests and rabbis. That it is a sacred oath that we take to make sure that our people are protected, and we have to do that with the best coverage, but also education. And that's where if you do it properly, when an 800 number comes along and says we're going to save you 15%, and it's like, no, this is not about price. This is about making sure that you have the right coverage. And rather than people leaving you just randomly, you'll get the phone calls to say, hey, I need to chat with you about this. What can we do? So education is really a hallmark of everything that you have to do to make sure that we're successful as agents.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, DJ, what's up? I'm in the middle of recording the podcast.
I know, man.
Yeah. So, this guy, we want to talk about something different. He's trying to get his website and his Google My Business page going.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody knows you helped me to get to the Tucson Club, and be seen by a couple of million people. But this person wants to do something different. They're trying to run ads to their book of business, their model line campaigns and stuff like that.
I know, Kev.
Oh man, well, DJ, talk to the people, man, so I can get back to the podcast. How can you help?
Yeah, man. So listen, I can help you by running monoline ads to your auto, your home, as well as optimizing your website, your Google business profile, and your social media outlets. We can do the exact same thing we've done for Kevin over the years and get you in front of millions of sets of eyeballs to help you grow your business. Contact Carroll Media today. Kev, let them know.
DJ, I appreciate you jumping in the podcast. Hit up Carroll Media. DJ, I gotta go. I gotta get back to the podcast.
I know.
So we mentioned you're a legacy agent, second generation, but you didn't go right from school into the insurance business. I think you took a stop and did a little time in radio. Talk about your journey from what you did prior to getting insurance, and when did you hit the light bulb and said, okay, Dad, here I am. I'm ready to follow your footsteps. Let's go.
Well, in high school, I knew I wanted to be a DJ. I had a teacher who was a DJ. And so I started off becoming a mobile DJ. I started off I was absolute grunt work, super intern, anything they could do at a radio station, I did it. I lived at that place 24/7. You need to cut a commercial. Let me teach me how to do that. You need to set up a remote. Let me do that. And I slowly worked my way onto air. I eventually became the night DJ here in Tucson. I had the #1 night show in Southern Arizona for a year or two. We were an AM station, which, you didn't think, but, this is back in the 80s, 90s that we were doing this. We were the #1 AM station in the country. We were a hip hop pioneer.
Let's go.
Don't I look like the hip hop king of Southern Arizona?
Now it makes sense. You said something to me earlier when I was talking to you that, when the podcast starts, I'm going to, just play the music and the dance floor is yours. And right away you went into a wiki, 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 wiki. So now I get it. Do tell. I love hip hop. You're in my lane. Talk to me. #1 hip hop DJ. Keep talking.
So I went by Killer Keith. I've spent time with Ice Cube, TLC, Hammer. I've partied with Milli Vanilli. I've performed on stage with the Backstreet Boys when they were nobody. So we broke acts like High C and DJ Quick and Bone Thugs and Harmony. When I say broke, we were the first people playing them ever. So they would come to the station and hang out. Usher and his mother used to call my countdown show because we were one of the only stations playing them, and they wanted to know if they hit #1 type of thing. So, it was a fun time. It's being a DJ it was a good job for a young man. It taught me a lot of how to communicate with people in this business, because you're always talking to people and you're having to think on your feet. But there also was coming a very, very quick time where I realized, when I started in radio, we had maybe 30 jocks. And by the time I left, we had 3, because the technology was coming in that we were all being replaced. Now, out of the hundreds of DJs I've worked with, there's maybe 10 still in the industry. It is a dead medium, and it's sad, but it's, everything is satellite and streamed. And so I kind of saw that coming. And so I went to my dad and said, hey, let me come work for you and just check it out. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I'm just doing this till I get my next radio gig. And 30 years later, here I am.
Wow. I love that answer. So I got to dig. Killer Keith, was that your DJ name or was that your MC name? Did you do a little rapping back in the day as well?
No rapping, just the MC, just the DJing. I MC'd a lot of things, but I did not flow, shall we say.
I understand. I love the art form. I don't have the gift to be able to stay on beat and tell a meaningful story. But man, the story, the artists you mentioned, DJ Quick, Milli Vanilli, You talked about Bone Thugs and Harmony. When I'm watching reruns of the NWA movie, should I picture you like being on set when NWA is first coming into Arizona? Is that your lane, or is that just a couple of years earlier?
We were one of the last stations that talked with Easy before he died.
Wow.
Yeah, he was with us, and about a month and a half later, he died because it came on quick. And so we were one of the last people to interview and talk with him. And, then we're one of the first people to talk with Ice Cube, after it happened. And so it was, an intense time,
Very, very intense time. I'm honored to learn you were a part of it. This is all breaking news on the podcast. I had no idea. I don't know how to go from DJing, but back to the insurance business, but I'll try. We're going to go back to DJing in a minute. But talk to me about the great state of Arizona. How does someone listening to this podcast that wants to pick up on what you said about loving the business, educating people, helping people, how hard is it to get into the insurance business, to get a license, to get started, and just to get an entry-level job in insurance? What's the process like?
It's challenging. It's not hard. And, the first thing you got to do is you got to pass this test. Now, I had somebody at the state of Arizona explain to me once, the state of Arizona doesn't want to make it impossible, but they want to make it challenging enough that when you pass it, you have had to try to pass it, and you've had to earn to pass it. You have to make sure that you want in this profession. So it's a college level class, and I tell my people it is 3 weeks of 7 days a week studying and focusing. Of course, you can just pick up the book and read, or I get classes for my people. If you were just saying, hey, I think I want to be insurance, let me go try. Okay, so get your license. Once you have your license, I cannot tell you the fight that will begin if you walk in, into any insurance agency or put yourself out there and saying, hey, I got a license on my own. I want to be in this industry. How many people are going to come and say, no, I want you. I want you to work for me. Not only, not only locally, but you're going to have a lot of people now that are remotely going to be saying, hey, why, you took that initiative. Okay. You've got my interest. So it's not a slam dunk easy thing. It's a little bit challenging, but it's not something that's hard. If you truly want it, you can do this.
I love it. I love it. Barriers to entry, college degree required. How expensive is this 3-week class? How expensive is it?
No college whatsoever needed. I never finished college. I went straight into DJing and was working, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 7 days a week. You just kind of got to want it. The classes can be $300 to $400, but that is a great investment in your future.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. New movers to Arizona. Post-pandemic, I know a lot of people were leaving California, moving to a green state, a growth state like Arizona, looking for a little space, the ability to stretch out a little bit. How important is it for someone moving in from California or any other state, heck, New York, we had our fair share of people go there as well, to work with an agency like yours so they can really learn exactly what they need to be properly protected in Arizona?
Again, to me, it's everything. Because, in New York, leaving New York, if you don't turn in your plates and do certain things, your car, title is not released. And so you got to work with somebody for that. For Arizona, what I see a lot, and I'm sure we do across the country, is someone says, well, my registration comes due in December, so I'm just going to leave my insurance in California for a while. And that's a problem. The state of Arizona does not like that. And if an officer pulls you over and they're having a bad day and they want to make you have a bad day because you haven't switched over your license and registration insurance, it can be thousands upon thousands of dollars. So one, you want to make sure that the transition is done properly. You want to make sure that, everything processes properly. I had a gentleman the other day who went through the 800 number, did all of these different things, and there's a 15-day gap in coverage that nobody paid attention to. And so we're trying to fix that. So you want to make sure that, it's a process. It's not a hard process, but it is a process nonetheless. And to me, when you're dealing with the 800 number people, Their job is to get you on, get you off, and move you on. When you're dealing with a local agency, you walk in our door and you talk to us, and let's make sure it's done properly. I've always tried to teach my people, let's avoid the problem before it becomes a problem. If we can avoid it, it's going to make life so much easier than trying to fix a problem. If it never happened, then great. And so that's what coming in and working with somebody one-on-one can do.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Ray, it's Kevin. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing, man. You guys have been helping me out for a while with all the digital things you can do at Use Canopy, but some of my guys, they're still having a hard time adjusting to the digital age. Talk to the people, Ray, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Canopy Connect is the insurance data intake platform. Send a link out to your prospect. They, click on it, find their insurance carrier. We got like 350 insurance carriers on there. Click that, sign in, and they can be done there. You can ask them a few more questions you want, but we're going to pull all that insurance information, give it to you right in a nice dashboard.
That sounds pretty quick. What are we talking? 2 or 3 minutes?
Less. You can do that in 30 seconds, man.
Wow. Nick, you're a big time marketing guy. What do you think?
I think Canopy Connect is one of those tools that everybody should have in their back pocket. Makes it easy to use. You can send it out in emails and text messages. You can use it in social media campaigns, X-Date campaigns. All of those methods will work with Canopy Connect.
Guys, I got to get back to the podcast, but you heard it right here. Use Canopy Connect. Go digital. Leave old school in the past. Nick and Ray, I'll catch you guys later. Easy.
Let's go. See ya.
50 plus years between you and your dad. I would imagine that you have a strong local presence. Do you see your agency as running more of a retail business where you get people walking into the agency, or is your agency pivoting where more people are looking to do things digitally, online, or over the phone?
Yes, no, maybe. We don't have the people just walking in off the street, I want to buy. But Tucson is a heavy Hispanic community. We have a very Hispanic book, and that community really values working face to face with people. And and also they want to come in and sit down for 25 and 30 minutes and talk with some of my team members, because they've gained these relationships. It's frustrating sometimes, and they're just out there chatting. But you also realize once you get this person, then you get their abuelita and their cousin and their mom and their uncle, and they stay for forever. So it is a benefit. That's I don't think I'm ever going to go remote. You have these agents that they work from home. I don't like that. It might be great for some people, but I need to be able to come in and see my people face to face. But also, I want my team or my clients to have a place to come to and talk and visit. That being said, yes, there is a whole new generation, and it's generational. The younger generation, they want to do things online or over the phone. But as they get older and start getting nicer things and things worth protecting, they'll reach out with a phone call or want to come in for an appointment more and more. So you start to see, I think that's part of growing up is, the older you get, the better friends you become with your insurance agent. That's a goal that we have.
I love it. And I love you talking about the differences in your agency being of service to the Hispanic community and the referral benefits of being a face and a place in the community. Both of those things have huge value. So let's stay with community for a second. You're everywhere. Habitat for Humanity, home security specialist, which I definitely want to give to, high school track coach, Boys and Girls Club, CASA of Arizona. What's missing from your website? What didn't I see that you're involved in today?
Not much. One of my favorite parts of being in radio was, not sitting in the station, but the opportunities it allowed me to get out in the community. And so working, through the insurance companies and with some of the specialties I have, it allows me to get into, some unique things where, again, I feel like I'm serving and giving back. So I like being out one-on-one and really giving back to this town I love. I was born and raised here, and I want to make sure that, we do everything we can to make it as best we can.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Any passion community involvement projects that you're working on right now that I didn't ask you about?
No, I'm actually taking a little bit of a step back. So,
Okay.
so again, I was many years ago, I did some national TV for Allstate. This thing way back here, where it was all about home security. I became a home security expert, and so for 16 years, I was the voice of our local home show. I did 32 shows. I emceed. I did the voice of it. I also did home security seminars and webinars. That ended about 6 months ago because they sold to another company. So I'm taking a little bit of a step back and a little bit of a breather, trying to decide what my next step is. But through the home security stuff, I work with a lot of associations. I'll go out and visit with them. Habitat for Humanity. I'll go out and people are getting new houses, so I'll go out and either give insurance or home security speeches there. So any chance I can get to talk about insurance and educate people, back to that education part, but also show them the difference between us and an 800 number and why you have an agent. I take any chance I get.
I love it. And with you having a daughter that's a high school senior year is kind of importance. Your presence there, you being there on prom night and things of that nature, and being available to take pictures, that's going to override and overlap. There are some moments that are getting ready to happen that you must be present for, that you absolutely have to be there for. So Keith, let me pivot a little bit. You're one of the premier networkers in my mind in Allstate. You've made great friends with great agents around the country. If there are agents listening to this call with us or with any other carrier out there, how important has it been in your career to go to events, connect, network with agents online, Facebook groups, wherever it might be? How important a role has that played to you in your career, just having this major nationwide friendship group and people you can reach out to?
It has changed everything I do in my agency. It has led me to where I am today. We just celebrated another record-breaking year. When I started this many years ago, my circle of agents were very small, and to be honest, very negative. I mean, very, very, very negative. Everything's horrible, and the world is falling, and the sky is falling, and it's going to end, and we only got 3 and 5 years. And it affected me mentally because I couldn't convince myself to grow.
Right.
So, if you're a new agent, an old agent, however, wherever you are in your career, reach out to like-minded people who want to grow, who want to succeed, who want to move on. And sometimes, there are people who are mega agents who we share nothing in common, but I gain off their positivity. But I also look for people who, are maybe 2-3 steps ahead of where I want to be. 3 years ago, they are where I am now. But then I also try to be that for people who might be coming up. And once you start doing that and you realize, 1, you're not alone.
Yes.
2, none of our problems are unique.
Yes.
3, as negative as you want to be sometimes, it's okay to have those days like, this stinks. What the company did was not fun, and those rates were not fun. And it's okay to have a pity party for a day, go home, have a nice drink, just relax. But next day you come in and you have a group of people that you say, okay, how are we going to make this work for us? How are we going to get through this? Having that support, having that network really has been a true game changer, because when you're down, they bring you up. When they're down, you bring them up. And you need to make sure that you have a good, solid, positive group. Not stick your head in the sand and nothing bad ever happens. It's when the bad things happen, how do we grow from that and make things better?
I love it. I love it. I love it. The great philosopher Mike Tyson said, every man has a plan until he gets punched in the face. Mm-hmm. And then what? So we have days like that. I think it's something we share in common with all small business owners. I'm going to pivot back to your days as a high school track coach.
Okay.
Being a track coach, did you have wheels? Are you a man of speed? Is running still a habit and something that you enjoy today?
I was a pole vaulter.
Whoa.
So I held the school record for 18 years. Yeah. So I was able to run short times, but I loved pole vaulting, and I loved the athleticism that came with that. And I had an opportunity to go back and coach. And I told them I would only do it if I could still vault. And into my 40s, I was still doing 10 feet, but I've had to give it up in the last couple of years with bad knees and things of that sort. So, but it was
a good
opportunity to I'll tell you something that was very fascinating is a lot of my track kids, I got a lot of great employees out of that.
Okay.
Because I could tell if you were going to be dedicated and focused and go those extra miles on the track when nobody's around, you're going to do it as an employee. So once they kind of graduated and got in college and I needed an employee, I would reach out to Ryan and Stephanie and Monique and whoever, like, hey, are you interested? Let's just talk about, maybe doing some phone calls or this or that or the other. And I've had probably about 10 of my old kids, kids now, they're all grown up, work for me over the years, but I knew which ones were going to be good because of, the dedication they showed on the track. So that was an extra bonus I never even thought about when I was doing it.
I tell you what, I am not a runner. I have no business being in a conversation with runners, but I think the discipline of the runner, the miles and times that you put in alone running without a crowd, without competition, just the discipline to do it, I think it's special. I've had plenty of friends that are runners. All three of my sons are athletes. We're athletes, depending on what day of the week it is. But I've had people tell me about the runner's high. I never felt it, so I never got the running bug. So Keith, with all that you're doing, working really hard, you've done a ton in the community. You've been a spokesperson for the company. You've done your cutting and scratching, wicka. How do you wind down at the end of the day? How do you decompress from it all?
Well, right now, my family is everything. So we were talking, my daughter is 17. She's getting ready to graduate and go off to the university. And so that above everything else was why I went into this agency, why I took after my father. Because, when I'm, 20, 21, 22 years old, and my father's like, you can make this amount of money. That meant nothing to me. I had no idea what those numbers meant. But what meant something was he was at every track meet, every baseball game, and he was a coach. And they were such parts of my life, my father and my mother, more so than any other parent I saw, and I knew I wanted that. Yes. So over the last, 18 years, my daughter and my wife have been everything, any chance we can. And to be honestly, sometimes at the detriment of the office. And we didn't grow as much as we could because I wanted to make sure that I could go and spend time there. Now that she's, just about ready to go into the university and she's, getting her jobs already and spending less time with us, which is perfectly what she should do. That's where we're going to start going back and, refocusing on. That's where we've really been coming back into the agency these last 2 years. But until then, I do, work out, I do the meditation, I do golf, but it's also spending time with the family and, all the things that we can while we can, because, there's going to come a time soon that it's not going to be as available.
Absolutely. And happy belated birthday. I saw you post on Facebook, just celebrated a birthday with your family. DJ Killer Keith, what's on the playlist these days? When you're riding into work, what are you listening to?
I'm actually a big talk radio guy now,
Okay.
Yeah, I if I listen to music, I'm still stuck in the 80s, stuck in the 90s. I can't get out of that area. But a lot of talk radio and just the music nowadays. I'm that old guy. The music nowadays just I can't handle it. Like give me some classics. Some good stuff.
Give me an example. What's classic for you? What's a go-to that's always going to get your attention? If they play this, they've got you locked in.
Oh my God. I mean, truly anything 90s. I go 90s country. I go 90s hip hop. I go 90s, emo, 90s grunge rock. I pick, a 90s channel and I just go and, anything, because again, I played it all. I've worked on all the stations. I, DJ at all the parties. I know all the music. It's just anything and everything 90s.
I love it. We're being transparent here. So, being a New York kid, growing up a little bit right around the time hip-hop is being invented, so 80s hip-hops, early 90s before the language is always a go-to for me. But when I went to college, before we had streaming, you could only get local radio, so I can still remember the hook from the radio station, CQ 102, the only radio station you'll ever need. That was heavy soft rock, light rock, so anything Aerosmith, REO Speedwagon. I'm pretty good in that era. When those songs come on, it puts me right back in school. So
But you had some great 90s East Coast rap, Grandmaster Flash and, all the above, Run DMC, and, you got some classics out there,
All good stuff, all good, clean, the way that I like it. Keith, this is we're circling the airport, we're landing the plane. Last couple of questions. Anything you're working on outside of the agency that you want to share, that you want to talk about, that might be a passion project for you, work, family, outside of work?
Right now, everything right now is just family, and truly, I'm after this, I got more interviews, so I'm back to growing my agency and just focusing on the things we were talking earlier. I need to kind of pull my head out from the rock, and all right, let's start training myself more on AI. Let's start training myself more on the social media stuff. All the things that I know is coming and just need to be done. Now I'm starting to get a little more time to be able to focus on those things. So a lot of hills to climb, but one step at a time, and we'll get there.
That's the fun stuff. Anything that you wanted to share that I didn't ask you about?
No, I just truly appreciate that you're out here doing this. With all the the groups that we're a part of and the people that are out there, I look back and wonder what my career would have been like, 25, 30 years ago had that been around. We lost a lot of agents over the years just simply because of straight negativity. So, thank you and your compatriots for, not only putting out conversation, but positivity and truly hope and stuff. It really, we don't know what's coming down in our industry or any industry, but it's nice to again know we're not alone, and shows like this really make a difference.
Thank you, Keith. You have been absolutely a phenomenal guest. Keith Duncan, Tucson, Arizona. If you're in the Tucson, Arizona area, looking for an agent, he is my go-to guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to our podcast today. If you like the content that we created today with DJ Wicca Killer Keith, and I know that you do, hit that subscribe and notifications button below so you can be notified when this is uploaded to YouTube or podcast platforms anywhere and everywhere. And thank you to those of you that have subscribed already. Big thank you to my sponsors, Carol Media. All things, if you're coming into the digital space and you want a little help, that's the vendor that got me to over 2 million views the last couple of years. And Canopy Connect. If you're looking to really digitize your processes, do business a little bit different, better educate, better help your customers, please consider checking out Canopy Connect. And big thank you to Wintrust, my financial partner. Until the next time, thank you for taking time to wind down with Kev.